Hey, what's up? It's Brian Altano and Michael Swaim from IGN. Now, we're going to talk about the Xbox Series X and PS5 pre-orders that went down just recently and how much of a wreck they are. First of all, if you were successfully able to pre-order one of these consoles, that's awesome. If you tried but failed and couldn't get one, that sucks. Or if you just comfortably watch this entire train wreck from afar, it's safe to say that for most people, pre-ordering one of these consoles was a gigantic pain in the ass. How you feeling, Swaim?
Hey man, well, I got mine and that's all that matters now. Very interesting ride the last few days, especially for those of us that are really keyed into this, especially seeing as both Microsoft and Sony sort of called their shots and made promises. And I think in a very real way, the rollouts of these pre-order process felt like fumbles in both cases.
Yeah, completely. So we're going to start by talking about the Xbox Series S and X pre-orders, and we'll be talking about the PS5 pre-orders in a minute. And if you're a Nintendo fan or a PC gamer, don't worry. Your team screwed up a little bit this year too, so we'll get to that in a minute. So first off, Microsoft. After a chaotic and rocky PS5 pre-order process, Microsoft threw a little bit of shade at Sony in a tweet, kind of being like, don't worry, we're going to make the process for pre-ordering super clear. Here's the date and time you can get it. They announced 8 a.m. Pacific time in California and other places all over the place. Every major retailer was supposed to, in unison and synchronicity, rise up and at the exact same moment, make pre-orders available for everyone. And then everything broke. Now, Microsoft gave people the option of buying through them directly, which I thought was pretty cool, and I thought was guaranteed to sort of have the best chance of working. Turns out that crashed almost the quickest. So by repeatedly hitting that over and over again, I was just hit with this basically 503 error, one of those dreaded 1990s Internet Explorer tabs that you never want to see. Just truly terrifying. Target, on the other hand, said, you have it, it's ready to go. Then I clicked the button and they were like, you clicked it too many times, you can only have one. And then I clicked it again and they were like, now you have 0 and no one gets any. Screw you. And then Best Buy and Amazon took about an hour each to go live. Eventually, people had some luck with those sites. And then GameStop implemented a digital queue, which allowed people to pretend that they had a chance of the auto refresh system working in their favor, while also putting up a few pre-orders in stores. So I did see the good old.
Sorry, just to zoom in on that. That was a facade, though, right?
Yes.
It was simply a page that was auto refreshing for you that said, "Don't refresh this page" on it. Yep. So it was sort of designed to feel like you were in some kind of virtual line, but you were doing what all of us were doing, frantically refreshing the page to see if your order would finally get through.
Now, if you went the physical line way with GameStop, most of those stores, the good old-fashioned way, there were people still doing sort of like the midnight launch lineup thing, but very early in the morning. Most of those stores had signs outside being like, we're only getting 8 systems per store, 4 of the Series S. So that became cutthroat too. Now, I think a big thing about this is that by Microsoft announcing ahead of time a specific date and time, it actually gave a lot of bots and people who run them the opportunity to snipe these sites a lot faster than they would have had they just sort of tumbled out the way PlayStation did.
Which, by the way, was widely predicted in the wake of the PlayStation launch. Yeah. And you say everything broke. It's interesting to me, the one thing that didn't break, at least in the case of the Microsoft launch, were ranks. Because in the case of the PS rollout, you have Walmart essentially just tweeting, no, we're releasing it now, and other brands scrambling to keep up, for which Sony has since apologized and promised more units are on the way. But I think it's interesting that they're almost apologizing for a business reality that in some regards is largely out of their hands. Whereas Microsoft, knowingly, I would say knowingly, because I am just a fairly casual, I'm not like deeply into the business side. I just like video games. But even I was inundated, and my Twitter feeds and my social feeds inundated with people saying, well, the alternate is you say the exact date and time and everything gets bought out by bots, scalpers, and scammers. And it seems like there's a lot of evidence piling up that that's exactly what happened. So it almost begs the question, like, is there a good option? Was there a good way to do this rollout that would have worked?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, I was in the IGN sort of content team Slacks and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people are doing the same thing. And it sort of felt like playing like a team deathmatch game where we're like, there's an invader over on that side, get him. It's like Best Buy is live, Newegg is live. sign up for the Sam's Club membership today. So stuff
Right.
like that
And
happened.
what happened to the official? You mentioned Microsoft offering. Sony also offered direct pre-orders.
Right.
Remember that lottery we all enrolled in?
Yes.
I actually never got notification on whether. I guess that means I lost the lottery. I'm not sure.
You did, as did I.
Okay.
But you know, a lot of people have told me I don't have the PlayStation passion, and so that could be it. But I am on a weekly PlayStation show here at IGN, so I was hoping I had a little leg up. I've got a bunch of platinum trophies. I've been playing games on PlayStation for years, so that didn't work too well for me either. Although it did work for other people. Keep in mind, all these things we're listing today, people had luck with them, but the overwhelming majority of people were met with, you know, errors, or on Amazon, a cycling gallery of cute pictures of dogs. So that's good, at least.
Another question I don't have the answer to, but maybe you will. When Walmart broke ranks, why did that cause a cascade of companies breaking ranks, given that you're going to sell out of all of your limited number of these new consoles, regardless whether you go live an hour later or at the time everyone agreed upon? I wonder if it's simply an issue of wanting to create this huge news moment and the companies doing, you know, like rappers have beef in order to build both profiles. I wonder if this is not in some way, whether consciously or just the forces conspire to make it just a staged event to replicate. You know, we've been seeing these replacement events all year long. We just got through convention season. Everything's become virtual. Isn't this just stampeding through the Best Buy doors, but virtually?
Yes.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
In the same way E3 exploded into 1,000 smithereens this year, I think so did Black Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, let's talk about that. So PlayStation, on the other hand, had basically an interview with Jeff Keighley a few weeks back, where they said they would give gamers ample notice and time about when the pre-orders went live. Then we had the PlayStation 5 showcase thing last Wednesday, which ended with a price for the consoles finally, and also the reveal that PlayStation 5 pre-orders would go up the next day. So we all said, what time is that going to be? And then we all started finding, you know, the retail listings of where the placeholder sites, basically. But then, Walmart said, screw you guys, we're going live. And everyone else was like, hey, we're going to do that too. And then so all of a sudden, all the sites started tumbling out, and I was watching it like a hawk over the next 5 or 6 hours. Basically every online retailer had started selling. And while that was okay for people here in the States, if you lived in Europe or further, you didn't really get a chance to get those, because a lot of those pre-orders went up in the middle of the night, causing
Also
Sony to do
notable.
something. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just also, I think a notable detail: the digital edition, as far as we can tell from both anecdotal evidence in the back end of our deals side of IGN, the digital edition available at like 1% the rate or something like that of the standard edition, which seems odd. I don't understand the reasoning behind it per se, but it seems interesting.
Yeah, I don't either. So all of this caused Sony to basically put out this very uncorporate, but very welcome apology tweet, saying, you know, we screwed up. This didn't work the way we wanted it, but we're still going to have some availability throughout the rest of the holiday season, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not saying that like the pre-order gates are closed for everybody, but this was definitely the big rush in the last week. If you got one, awesome. If you didn't, I'm sorry. Hopefully you'll get another chance. And if you don't want any of these things at all, man, I hope you got some sleep. You got to relax a little bit.
Why are you watching this?
Well, it's fun to watch a train wreck, right? In the meantime,
they're waiting for that Nintendo enamel pin news, which
yes,
we're going to get to.
We will get to that in a second. Yeah, let's talk about the PC RTX graphics cards from NVIDIA. Swim, I don't know if you were tracking this at all, but this was equally messy, if not more so.
This was, well, I wanted both of the consoles. I succeeded in one case. I couldn't get a Series X. I just got a fairly new gaming PC, so I'm not looking to upgrade momentarily. This was my watch the train wreck from the side. And as you might guess, PC users are even more savvy with their bots and their scams and their tricks. Those things went like that, my friend.
Yeah, and so some of them essentially couldn't even be added to cart. You're also dealing with like a slightly smaller number of retail sites that were selling them. And so people were clicking on them and they were gone in half a second, which is sort of like, you know, sneakerheads know this. This happens a lot over there too. And the issue too is that these all made it to eBay for 10 times the price within seconds, which is even more frustrating. I saw some of these graphics cards that were retailing at around $1,500 for some of the best ones. We're going for like $40,000, $50,000 on eBay. and no one was pulling them down, no one was stopping them.
This is why we can't have nice things. Like, you cannot be technologically infeasible to prevent that exact thing from happening. These are anomalous posts with very similar thumbnails and copy. Like, it can't be hard to stop people from literally just inflating the price 10 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I guess we can have nice things if we're millionaires, but everyone else can't have nice things. And finally, Nintendo got in on the action a little bit, as they usually do. You know, they have a long history of sort of Amiibo and the classic consoles, the NES and the NES Classic, being a huge pain in the ass to pre-order. Switch was also, you know, had some issues here and there with delivering on day and date with Amazon. But they put these set of limited edition Super Mario pins for people who completed a set of challenges trying to buy the already limited edition Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, which was announced and released recently. And by basically listening to music and clicking some pictures and playing a little bit of Mario Kart on your phone, you could unlock these pins. They went up for pre-order yesterday sort of randomly and sold out within seconds. That whole process caused a lot of, you know, site crashings and tabbing out and all of this other nonsense. And so, yeah, everybody just kind of screwed up a little bit this year. And the consumers who were already having a pretty rough year didn't really have the smoothest process in purchasing these wonderful, delightful things that are supposed to distract us from the hellish reality of the outdoors.
And whether or not we demonstrably look back a year from now and see that it was, you know, COVID and quarantine interrupting supply lines, which I think is a factor that has to be mentioned, but it's not necessarily like the major determining factor. Of course, the companies, Microsoft and Sony have been trying, I think, to cast it as, don't worry about it. No, we're going to get you the thing you need. Whether that bears out in history, we find that to be true or not, I do think regardless, we can say already that quarantine has raised people's concern about getting the things they want, especially in the sector of something you can do in your home that makes life less horrible, like a video game, right?
Yeah.
These things are at an all-time value in terms of my brain space and my actual like love of them. I want the PS5 very badly because I need some worlds to escape into. I think a lot of people are feeling that way, and a lot of people really wanted to lock down their gaming plans for the coming future, and hopefully you're able to. But I do think there will be more consoles to come. I don't think the road is over yet.
No, yeah, for sure. There'll definitely be more opportunities. At the very least, this has all been interesting and fascinating to watch, if not frustrating and cumbersome for those who were really in there and couldn't get what they wanted. But if you haven't gotten it yet, you know, best of luck to you. If you got one, you know, try not to brag about it too much for the people that didn't. And if you don't care at all, I mean, there's a billion video games you can play at home right now instead of slightly improved versions of the ones you have already. So
if you don't care at all, you're free.
You're free. Yeah, you're free. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to cover the next gen console launches and the games and everything else, which has been, to say the least, very strange this year, among other things. So thank you so much for watching, and for all things video games, video game console launches, and websites that crash with cute pictures of dogs. And next gen.
Gen's good for SEO. Let's talk about it.
And next gen. You're in the right place. IGN.